and a 5 and a 4 and a 3, 2, 1. Hey, this is Ted Hicks, Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Have my buddy Danny Thompson back in the queue for a quick. Is this like an emergency pod?
This
I
is
don't
the
know.
Purdue Boilermaker NCAA tournament version of the podcast today. That's how fast it is.
Is this the Rick Pitino?
Nope, the Zach E.
Agent of the Machine podcast. Pitino is coming to St. John's, Queens.
Back to New York City.
Stand up. Danny, what's going on with you?
You know, a lot of college basketball moves today. The tournament's on Thursday night. It's an exciting time for folks who watch college basketball because it's in the spotlight.
So did the WBC steal any of what we wanted to call, what I wanted to call it, and a few other people were calling it March Sadness? Everyone's brackets were busted within the first 48 hours of the tournament. No,
I think for as good as the WBC is, it's going to be overshadowed with the injuries of Edwin Diaz and Jose Altuve. That's going to overshadow the fact that you have Team USA versus Team Japan tomorrow night. I think it's tomorrow night tonight. Down in Miami. The atmosphere.
Tony D, what's going on, bro?
Miami's amazing. Atmosphere was amazing last night. So I'm excited to see what Team USA can do. The bats are waking up, and Trey Turner's out here hitting home runs like this is October. So,
Helen, what's going on?
So it's exciting. I want to see if Team USA can get can get the 2017 win all over again, or is Ohtani that guy that's going to just do it all over again?
Of course. And hopefully Ohtani is in Queens next season. But
we're starting to go fund me for that, so don't worry about that. We got that.
Yes.
We have our own guy.
A GoFundMe to get Ohtani and his $500 million contract to Queens, New York. Shout out to Queens. Danny, I know it's not Black History Month. It's International Women's Month. Mm-hmm. Shout out to all the women that we do appreciate you with Late Night Parents, with many of Danny's outlets around the association, Beyond the Buzzer. All of this stuff predates what he's doing now, the writing that he's doing on his Substack. Danny, we have one primary African-American owner in the National Basketball Association. And they're supposedly in serious contracts negotiations to sell majority ownership of the Charlotte Bobcat.
Charlotte Hornets, sir.
Oh, don't call it a Bobcat.
No,
been here for years. Okay. Charlotte Hornets, and it's the owner of Melvin Capital. Mm-hmm. Why we mention this is, do we remember Melvin Capital?
Okay.
Melvin Capital was in the middle of Wall Street Bets and all of that stuff that goes on with these meme stocks, and we were kind of wondering, like, what happens to companies like that? Do they go bankrupt? Do they not? I guess not. They go on and they're able to go buy basketball teams. So what's happening with the Charlotte Hornets and Michael Jordan, the great Michael Jeffrey Jordan?
I think at this point, Mike's ready to cash out. Mike's in his 60s now. It's not as easy as it looks to build a championship team in the NBA. It really isn't. And no matter how great you were as a player or an executive, it's difficult to win as an owner. And this day in the NBA, this day and age, it's difficult. It's 29 teams chasing one every single year. 30 teams chasing a championship, only one goes home with a championship. Charlotte hasn't had the best luck, and sometimes they haven't made the best decisions possible when it comes to certain things. But I think at this point, Ted, you're into stocks, you're into investment. Michael Jordan bought the team for $280 million when the team was in debt. After the CSET incident, the team wasn't making that much money, and he stands to make close. The franchise is worth over $1.7 billion in the current moment. We're talking about 10, 12 years later, if anything. I think Jordan cashes out. I think Jordan just wants to play golf and continue making money off the Jordan brand and continue that legacy. I mean,
well, he's going to be a minority owner.
Yeah, I mean, he's not giving the full thing up. He's just giving up the control.
Okay.
He's just he's going to collect his checks. Like I said, collect the Jordan checks, collect those Hornets checks, and live off the $2+ billion he's going to get for this franchise. I mean, Ted, you play the stock market, for example, or people play the stock market, or you play with mutual money firms and funds. And if I tell you that you're going to make close to 9 times your investment that you put in 12 years ago, and you have a chance to cash out at 9 times your value, in most cases, you're going to do it. And you get to walk away, and you still get to keep part of what you had. He's not selling the whole thing. He's not going to get what Matt Sheba got, which was $4 million for the Suns. He's not going to even get close to what Steve Ballmer and Joe Tsai gave up for the Clippers and Nets, respectively. He's going to get over $2 billion. $2 billion. You got to think Jordan's already a billionaire. He just wants to play golf. He wants to go play golf, enjoy his wife, enjoy that retirement life. He's fully retired, Ted. He could wake up and just realize that Nike check's hitting the mail, and that Hornets check will be hitting the mail pretty soon for value. So day-to-day is different. It's not the same.
Yeah, there's a grind in this. And there's so much pressure on being the greatest basketball player in the world ever. And then owning a team. I think there's going to be a letdown, and I think he noticed that, because if we look at his tenure, there were, maybe he's owned it for 13 years, and I think maybe the first 5 or 7 years they made the playoffs.
No, actually, when Jordan took over, they had 3 playoff years, and they haven't been in the playoffs in over 7 years. Once Oklahoma City makes the playoff, once Sacramento makes the playoffs this year, the Hornets will have the longest drought among making the playoffs. It's going to be, I think, close to 12 seasons. Last time they had a team that was close, Kemba Walker was a younger guy, and Kemba Walker was playing basketball with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and Al Jefferson was the last time the Hornets had a playoff team.
Okay.
They've gotten close a couple times, but this proves that, listen, you could be the greatest on the court, but not necessarily does it work out. And, LeBron James is going to come into that situation sooner rather than later. And people are going to expect him to win right away. And it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't.
So would we say LeBron is a lock? I mean, nothing is a lock, but is LeBron a lock for Vegas, the Vegas team? If
he wants it, he gets it. LeBron has the one thing that Michael Jordan did not have when he first got into owning teams, or what A-Rod has currently with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Minnesota Lynx. LeBron James has Fenway behind him. The Fenway Sports Group is behind him. And Fenway, who owns Liverpool, who owns the Red Sox, of course, and the Pittsburgh Penguins, among other things, is going to be the financial partner with LeBron James. So this isn't, like, no offense to Magic Johnson, this isn't Magic Johnson trying to buy into a team. LeBron has literally a humongous corporation with billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of dollars ready, and they want an NBA team. LeBron James is going to be the face of Las Vegas, and he's going to get his ownership. He's not. I don't know if he's going to be full-fledged in the beginning, like Michael Jordan was after a little bit of time. But eventually, I think he does it. But in the beginning, I can see LeBron owning 20 to 25%. He's a billionaire with a B. He's already a billionaire.
So we were talking about Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson. Growing up, Magic Johnson was my favorite player. Okay. Mm-hmm. So he's part owner of
I've lost track.
Dodgers.
Lost track.
I mean, you name it. If it's LA, he's a part owner. Now, a report came out the other day that he's joining Josh Harris's group to make a run at the Commanders. Mm-hmm. Is this more for him to be like a trophy type piece? Or is he going to have any say? Or is this going to be like, hey, I'm putting 10% in and I'm going to go sit off in my corner and have access to my suite every week for a home game?
I mean, 10% is even a big percentage. People think 10%, there's only 10%. No, 10% is a lot in professional sports. I mean, 10% allows you to have conversations at the ownership table. I think having Magic Johnson on that committee with Josh Harris, because folks will know who Josh Harris is. He was the principal owner of the Philadelphia 76ers. I think he now runs Fanatics.
Right.
He left the Sixers to go run Fanatics. And Fanatics is a $31 billion company, by the way. So Josh Harris has a lot of money behind him. Adding Magic Johnson not only provides a name, but it also provides a little bit of melanin in Josh and Harris's campaign to become ownership. Because you have to understand, Washington, D.C. is one of the largest areas in the country for African Americans. It is it's a large community. And the same way, Ted, as you know, you were in Brooklyn. When the Nets left New Jersey and they cut across the water to Brooklyn, what was one of the first things Bruce Ratner did? He got Jay-Z in the fold. And with Jay-Z being from, being from Brooklyn, being from Marcy Projects, being from that area, it put a face that was familiar. Magic Johnson is a familiar face. Anybody over the age, I think, of 25 years old knows who Magic Johnson is. If not, their parents know who Magic Johnson is. Like you said, Ted, he was your favorite player growing up. And I've watched Magic my entire life. I know what the Magic Man does, but he's also one of the savviest business people possible. And he's a very good representation, a high standard of business excellence in the Black community after being a former professional athlete. So no, I think he's going to have a say so, but he puts another different type of stamp in DC.
Okay. Got it. Hey, want to go quickly into March Sadness? FDU lost their coach today. So they go from the biggest upset to losing their coach who takes over Iona.
Mm-hmm. Well, you strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
Ted, listen, Tobin Anderson will be the only coach in the history of college basketball, Ted, and the first coach to win not one but two NCAA tournament games for a team that wasn't supposed to be in the tournament in the first place. Fairleigh Dickinson is the only team in the history of the NCAA tournament who made the NCAA tournament who wasn't supposed to be in the NCAA tournament. So, of course, you're going to go ahead and take every bit possible. He was coaching Division II 2 years ago. He was coach of the Division II team and got shot at Fairleigh Dickinson. He wins 2 games. He becomes a media darling. And if they wouldn't have had a really bad stretch at the end of Sunday night, Ted, we would have Fairleigh Dickinson in the Sweet 16.
Right. What's your thoughts on Sweet 16?
You know what? This tournament is interesting. I wasn't a big fan of Purdue when the tournament started. I kind of figured they were going to get away early. Alabama and Houston seem like they're going to be the two teams
What's going on, Kevin?
Are ready to win a national championship. I'm excited. I think Florida Atlantic and Tennessee is going to be a very underrated game that a lot of people are going to watch. Florida Atlantic won 33 games this year. They're exciting brand of basketball. Alabama has the best player in the country, and the best player probably that's not Victor Wembanyama or Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller. There's so many storylines. I'm excited for it. My bracket, I got 3 of my 4 teams left in the Final Four in my bracket, so I'm still excited to have a chance to at least get 75% of the Final Four right, but I can't wait for Thursday night. And Duke is not playing, so it makes it even better.
Gotcha. Before we get on out of here, because I know we're up against the clock, any thoughts on Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson? Any early favors on how that ping pong ball could potentially drop for the lottery?
Everybody's picking for second. I mean, every player, every draft prospect is fighting for second. Victor Wembanyama is going to go first, unless he gets hurt between now and we get to June. And I'm sure at some point the kid his agent doesn't want him. He doesn't want to sit out. So at some point, his handlers are going to have to convince him, you're going to have to shut this thing down. He's going to go first. I mean, he's a generational talent. Teddy's 7'5". He moves, he shoots threes, he blocks shots. He looks like someone asked me about Victor Vignale yesterday. I said his ceiling is Giannis. That's the ceiling. The floor is Kristaps Porzingis. And if you watch
Really?
yeah, that's the floor. And if my floor is Kristaps Porzingis, that's not a bad thing.
Okay.
Because Porzingis, if you look at his numbers this year in Washington, Ted, this is the healthiest Kristaps has been since I think his second year in New York. 22 points, 9 rebounds, about 2 blocks a game. He's right close to 50, 40, 90, 50, 40, 85 from the three-point line. So Wemby has a really good chance to be like that. It's going to take a little bit. Early favorite, I feel like it's going to be the Spurs that are going to get him. But there'll be some intriguing situations, like if Detroit got him or Orlando got him. Even my Hornets, if they got a chance to get him, it'd be a nice situation.
Rick Costa, how you doing, brother? Hey, we lost a juggernaut. Willis Reed passed today. 80 years old. Person led the Knicks to their 2 titles. GM extraordinaire, coach, player, you name it.
Trailblazer.
The NBA is going to have a moment of silence tonight. And I'm sure there'll be additional celebrations of his life on what he meant to basketball, because it's more than just 1 or 2 organizations. This guy is someone else.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the first Black executives we had in the NBA. I think he's one of the ones that started or actually achieved and being very successful when you have the transition from being player to executive. Going through it, like I said, you win a championship in New York, you're on last forever. And, we talk about the most iconic scene, of course, Ted, you remember him coming on the court. It was Game 6 in New York, and they won the championship against the Lakers. You're always going to remember that. But people forget this guy was literally a double-double walking, one of the best rebounding bigs in the league, in the history of the league. So on the court, a monster. Off the court, a gentle giant, and a great human being. The league's at a loss right now.
Totally. So with that, Danny, best ways to find your work, best ways to find you, whether we're going to listen to you or we're going to see your writing.
My work is at my Substack page, which is The Wonderful of Data on Substack. Please subscribe. It's actually free right now. I have a lot of stuff I've been working on. I took the week off last week, Ted. I know I've been really trying to grind on that, but my wife had her first major vending event this weekend for her company, Tassel 15. She did an amazing job. And last week was my job being supportive husband, tech support, the web design team, the setup crew, everything else. But to watch my wife flourish last week was amazing. And so I'll be back on the grind this week. Also check out my work at 3pointconversion.com. And like I said, I know I owe Ted another Wonderful Ball podcast, which we might do tomorrow, taking more time with the tournament. But it's always fun taking some time out with Late Night Parents because, parenting's great.
Yes, it is. And with that, we are out.